In modern day NASCAR, there are many narratives that are pushed to the moon, some of which have no grounds and are untrue. So today, I'm going to be listing 10 narratives that need to die in modern day NASCAR. Starting off with an easy one, but number 1, the narrative that Alex Bowman needs to lose his ride at HMS. This is something that gets kind of annoying hearing all the big YouTubers say, when in reality, he's been a good Hendrick driver. Since 2018, Bowman has made the playoffs 7 out of 8 years. The one time he didn't was 2023, a year he was injured. And usually, Bowman's good for a win every year. Bowman has also statistically been the best 4th driver at HMS. Now I know this year he hasn't won and he just got knocked out in the first round, but let's be real, his team absolutely screwed him. And even after all that, he was still only 10 points out. 10 points he easily could have gotten if his team didn't screw him over. Now I know a lot of people are going to be unhappy with this comparison, but Bowman is actually on par and even better than Dale Jr. in some categories in Hendrick Motorsports. Bowman has made 283 starts with HMS and has 8 wins. Dale Jr. in his first 283 starts also had 8 wins. Bowman in his time with HMS has an average finish of 15.3, while in Jr.'s first 283 starts, he had an average finish of 15.0. So Bowman is on par with what Dale Jr. did in his time with the team. The only difference is that I don't hear anybody hating on Dale Jr.'s time with Hendrick. So Bowman is nowhere near bad enough to warrant losing his ride at HMS. The second narrative is the narrative that Bubba Wallace is a diversity hire. Now I have been critical of Bubba, I'll admit that, but I have never once brought up his race or called him a diversity hire. The reason being is he just doesn't run bad enough to be called a diversity hire. Now if he ran like Riley Herbst does every week and he continued to keep his ride, then it would be a fair assumption, but Bubba is a decent top 14 to 18 driver in the series. In my opinion, and I have said this multiple times, but I see his career ending a lot like Jamie McMurray. Now if you guys really want an example of a diversity hire in NASCAR, look at Tony Breidinger. Now before someone comments that I'm a sexist, just watch this video that Jake Sim Racing made where he highlighted that a higher up within Toyota admitted that they hired Breidinger for marketing purposes. And to be honest, it shows. Breidinger is dead last among full-time truck series drivers while her teammates are all playoff contenders. Circling back though, Bubba's a decent driver and people really need to back off with the DEI talk. The third narrative is the illegal cars in NASCAR. Now what do I mean by this? Well, a lot of people say that some drivers' achievements don't mean anything because they drove an illegal car. For example, I made this video about a year ago and I had one comment that still sticks out to me. It's this guy saying that Gordon isn't even top 10 because he drove an illegal car. But you can't really downplay someone's achievements just because their car was better. Literally every car that has ever passed through pre-race and post-race inspection is illegal in some way. The best teams have the most illegal cars. That's all there is to it. NASCAR is a sport of innovation and working in the gray areas, and the best never get caught. That is what NASCAR is built on, and that is how NASCAR has evolved. Drivers and teams are going to continue to run illegal cars and in some cases get caught. Number 4, the narrative that Chase Elliott is washed. Chase Elliott is still easily a top 5 driver in the Cup Series. I made an entire video explaining why he is still one of the top drivers in the sport. Elliott in the next gen car is the best average finish and has 7 wins, which is tied for 8th in the next gen era. Elliott has taken the role of a more consistent driver rather than a flashy driver. He has had race winning speed at times this year. Dover comes to mind, but of course, that race didn't go his way. Now the narrative I see is that Elliott sucks and that he hasn't been good since 2022, when in reality, he has been NASCAR's most consistent driver and has been among the best in the series. Number 5, that NASCAR doesn't care about its fans. This narrative, while being partially true, is largely false. Saying that NASCAR doesn't care about the fans at all is a very outlandish claim. They've done multiple things in favor of the fans. They have a different schedule every year. Homestead is the finale again, and NASCAR is going back there with no financial incentive. They brought back North Wilkesboro. Rockingham is back. They put more road courses on the schedule. The 550 package is gone. And they have tried to make the next gen car better. These are all things that NASCAR has done in favor of the fans, but all the fans want to focus on is what they don't do for them. Now I'm not saying NASCAR is perfect because it is definitely flawed, but they have done stuff for the fans, and I'm not oblivious to the fact that they have done stuff against the fans, and have just straight up ignored us on some things. But it's not all bad, and people need to recognize that they do a lot to appease us, and that deserves some recognition. Number 6, that the next-gen car is bad. The next-gen car is very flawed. We all know that. But it's done a lot more good than bad. And in my opinion, is miles better than the Gen 6 car ever was. Now, the short track and road course package definitely needs a lot of work. Martinsville and Bristol should not be aero-dependent. But think about the 1.5-mile cookie cutter tracks. Before this car, when's the last time any of you said, "Man, I'm excited for the Coke 600," and also, "Wow, the Coke 600 was a good race this weekend"? Not once with the Gen 6 car was the Coke 600 enjoyable. But with this car, it is. We've had 4 600s with this car, and all 4 races have been great. Also, Texas. Yes, Texas has been at least enjoyable and decent to watch. Las Vegas is now a good track. Kansas is an even better track now. Michigan is somehow enjoyable. Pocono is finally watchable, and Indianapolis, it's at least okay. This car has improved a lot of the track's product, and yet all people want to talk about is how this car sucks. Now, I'm not stupid. The short track and road course package is atrocious at times, even though I will say it has gotten better with Goodyear being a little bit bolder with their compounds. But all I'm saying is that the next gen deserves a little more credit than people give it. The next narrative is hating the president for being at races. Now, this is the most political I will ever get on here. I personally do not care about politics. I haven't even bothered registering to vote, mainly because I just don't care. All politics do is divide people. It makes people violent, and when that happens, you get a situation like Charlie Kirk. May he rest in peace and may God be with his family. But what I see a lot of, and I really noticed this when Trump attended the Daytona 500 earlier this year, is people were relentless in hating on NASCAR for allowing the president to be at the race, and saying some very vulgar and hateful things. In my opinion, it's an absolute honor to have any president at a NASCAR race. Whether it's Trump, Biden, Bush, Obama, Reagan, any presidential presence should be viewed as an honor and not be so divisive. Number 8, that TV ratings are everything. What I mean by this is the people that look at the TV ratings and think that they are the end-all be-all, and then they go and say NASCAR's dying. TV ratings are not everything. There are a lot of external factors when it comes to viewership. You have to look at the platforms they were on the year prior, look at the competition that day, the time slot. There are just too many factors to definitively say that we're in a drop-off. TV ratings this year are going to be down, probably significantly, but we have a new TV deal and a lot more races on cable, so it's just bound to happen. I'm not saying that TV ratings aren't important. All I'm saying is that you can't take them at face value and make a definitive claim. Number 9, the GOAT debate. Now, what I mean by this is that the GOAT debate just isn't as cut and dry as a lot of people make it out to be. It's one of those things you can't definitively pick one because the sport has changed so much and the rules are so different across the different eras. The difference between some of the unbeatable records in NASCAR as opposed to other sports is that NASCAR has evolved and changed so much that a lot of records set by Richard Petty are not going to be touched. Whereas in a sport like football, sure, there have been some rule changes and the style of play is a little different, but the play and the game itself is still very much the same. Now, in the GOAT debate, in my opinion, there are 4 candidates: Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt. Now, in my opinion, I believe Jeff Gordon's the GOAT. Now, if you think Petty, Johnson, or Earnhardt are the GOAT, I won't disagree with you. The GOAT debate is not really a matter of fact anymore, and it's more about what you value and what you think makes them the GOAT. And lastly, and probably the most controversial one, is the discrediting champions. What I mean by this is people always discredit any driver's championships because they didn't win the title under the full season points format, and that, in my opinion, is wrong. Now, call me hypocritical because that's kind of what my channel was built off of, and that laid the foundation for this channel to grow. But I never once discredited any of the championship winners. Now, I do get some people's grievances, like being upset that Harvick didn't win in 2020. And hey, I get it. The guy was untouched that year, and I also understand people being upset about Logano's title last year. I get it. Now, the way I view it is that the drivers won the title under the format in place, so therefore they deserve it. That's the way I view it, and that, in my opinion, is the way it should be viewed. And did the people say that Jeff Gordon would be a 7-time champion with no chase, and Jimmy would only have 3 titles? You don't know that. They would race differently. Who's to say that the guy who won the championship under the playoffs doesn't win it under the full season standings if that was in place? Chad Knaus has admitted that once he and Jimmy Johnson had a good enough cushion, they would just use the summer months as a test session. That tracks too, as Johnson never entered the chase as the points leader in any of his title-winning seasons. Paul Wolfe and Joey Logano have admitted that if the format was different, they would race differently and put more resources into every race. Now, even I, as a Gordon fan, do not view Jeff as a 7-time champion. I just don't, because it didn't happen. Now, it's cool to think, what if? That was the entire point of breaking the chase and now making the chase. But just because someone didn't win under the points format you like, doesn't mean they're a fake or undeserving champion. Well, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 4,000 by the end of the year, but as the days go by, that's looking less and less likely. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you to my channel members, and I'll see you next time for another video. Y'all have a good one.